Hello everyone, welcome back to another GMTL video. Today we'll be looking at how to build your first model. So the first model that you'll be building is for the ETF arbitrage case, which is similar to the asymmetric information except we have three stocks. So I'll be skipping the asymmetric one, skipping straight to the one with multiple stocks. So as you know, this case you get news with different estimates by your analysts, and you can input this data into a model to have a range of different prices available to you. So you'll have a minimum price and a maximum price on which you'll be trading these stocks. So the best way to get this information to get the news in an Excel model and get this data and put it in the map formula to get your range. So I'll be quickly going over the model. I already built the whole formulas, but I'll be explaining what every one of them do. So the first one is your RTD data, very simple. You need this to be able to get your news out. So if we go down and quickly drag it down, you can see that it's linked to the number on the side. So the first news is just the welcome news, but then we have the different estimates by our analysts at different times and at different prices. And we can use the data from the case file to be able to have a range. So the first thing we need to know is which stock is the news talking about. So for this, just don't look at every single formula will have an if error around it. That's just for error management. Don't worry about that. But basically, you could just basically copy those formulas on your own and have them all ready. So don't worry too much about it. The most important thing, however, is that you understand how those formulas work because it will be useful both for GMTL for more advanced cases and also just in your personal life when you're going to be working. You'll have places where this kind of understanding of Excel formula will be helpful. So first thing we do is the mid formula. So we want to extract from C2, which is this cell here, and then we want to find 4 with a space after, because basically we have an information. There is a 4 here. So if we don't put a space after, it will return the 4 here, which will not give us any information. We want the 4 just before UB or gem. So 4 space and then +4. So basically it's going to return us the address of the F. So we want +4 to get either the U or the G, and then 2. So we'll get either UB or GE, which basically gem. We don't really need to have the M at the end. It's just easier to just have 2 formulas. So this will return to us UB or GE if it's gem. So if we drag it down, we can see that UB and GE are here. And second information that we'll need is price. Price is super easy because it's at the right of the formula. So as we've seen in our pricing 101 video, we just use a right. And then the thing is, sometimes we'll get smaller prices if there's no pennies. The formula won't output anything. So if it's $53.00, it will only say $53. So to avoid the model crashing and just putting like 5, right, which would work in most cases, but then in those few cases where we don't have any pennies or it's just 90 cents, we'll just say 51.9 instead of 51.90. So to avoid this, we do length of the whole string minus find us the dollar sign. So basically length minus where to find the dollar sign will basically return us how many characters there is after the dollar sign. So this is a great way to just be more flexible and avoid an error happening. But we still have an if error for the empty news that we have. So now we could just drag down this formula again, and now we can see that we parse all the different prices. And then if we move on to time, time is a little bit more tricky. Like UB or gem, we have to go and say, well, there's always a word after and then the amount of seconds. So what we could do is just simply go in and then do after 81 seconds. So find us the mid of C3 and find us after, and then C3. And after in the space after is always 6 characters, so +6, and then 3. Basically, we don't really care if there's a space at the end. Even it's always at least 2 characters long, so we always have a space after. But Excel is able to handle a space and still do math with that formula, so we don't really care. So here, if we just drag it down, we can see that we get all of our time parsed. So now from the case file, we can find the formula with which to uh, manipulate this data to have a useful min and max. So here, what we do is basically the price that we got minus 300 minus the time divided by 50 will give us our minimum price. So, and then we can do the same, but change it to plus to get the maximum price. So basically, it's a range plus or minus uh, uh, a spread over under the estimate we got, and you can see that this spread will shrink as time goes on. So the further we are in the case, the more precise the news will be. So if we drag this down, you see that we get a minimum and maximum, but that's not very useful because we have both UB and GEM minimum and maximum, which is not really useful because if we do like if we want to get like the best price for one, like the UB will always have the highest price. And it's like we want to separate this data UB or GEM. So what we do is if uh, the stock is equals to UB, give us what's in the minimum for UB minimum, and then the same for maximum. And then if that's false, we'll just return an empty string. We don't want any data in there. So we did the same for GE here for GEM, and then same for maximum here. So if we drag this down, we get the data is now separated. So now if we put a grid here, and then just the best way to get this data in the best available way is to do a maximum on our minimum column. So we will have the highest minimum, which is the tightest spread possible. So here we see that our best price is 50.17. So we would want to buy anything under 50.17. And then we could do the same for a minimum on our maximum. So we have to do the opposite. We want the smallest maximum possible. So here we have our range for UB. And then if we just copy and paste this to the right, we can see that our 2285 and then 2692 is our range for GEM. And if we want to do the same for ETF, since ETF is basically the sum of both UB and GEM, we could add the minimums and then do the same for the maximum. So we can see that ETF should be trading between 73.02 and 80.69. So this gives us both all our ranges that we need for this case, and now we have a completed model. So that's it for this video. This completes our Modeling 101 tutorial. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.